So let's get started. So what I'm trying to do is just have a live stream, basically making a game. So everybody who joins the chat, everybody who watches this, we will together make a game, and every minute of this game's development is going to be streamed live. And if you want to have some cool ideas, we can try them out. If you're just getting started on your own game or want to learn how to create your own game, you can follow along. You can even pull, like I'm putting everything on GitHub under Game Dev Company, and you can just pull and make your own version, or even just follow along as I'm coding or doing graphics. And basically not one moment is not going to be streamed, so you won't miss out. You might have to watch some like if you're joining in later, you might want to watch it from YouTube or something. So let's get started. So what we're gonna do is use Game Maker, because I have more experience in Unity, but Unity is more for 3D games, and I'm right now kind of also trying to learn Game Maker, just because it's a bit easier to create prototypes, and it's a bit faster to just get to a fun game, and I think it fits better for this kind of format. So please bear with me as I'm coding. It might be that I don't know everything about Game Maker. If you have any suggestions or improvements, we can look at them, and we can improve any part that you don't if you have suggestions, just put them in chat. It's okay. So as you see, I have Game Maker on here. So this is just an empty project right now. It doesn't really have anything, and I've committed the first initial Game Maker project into source tree and into GitHub, so you can even right now pull it. But I don't know if that's needed right now. So this time I'm not really going to start coding yet. I'm not really sure what kind of game we should make. I was thinking a platformer of some kind or something simple. But that's all up to you guys. But right now, of course, we just started this channel, so I know nobody's following right now live. But if someone joins, of course, they're welcome to give feedback. This is more practice run, and I'm sorry if my internet is not the fastest at the moment, so there might be some dropped frames or lagginess. I am recording this also locally, so that if this recording is bad, I'll post it on YouTube later on. Also, I probably should get a better mic. My computer has a big fan, and you can hear it all the time. It's not so nice. I try to put a noise gate, but in the end, when I write, because I have one of these mechanical keyboards, you can hear everything that I type, and it's not so nice. I don't want you guys to be hearing like some kind of machine gun going off, and the mouse is quite loud too. So I'm hoping to get something like that I can have closer by right here, so it doesn't pick up all the noise. I was trying to use the lapel mics we were using for our two devs on a couch, but for some reason I couldn't get them to work with the camera, even if it's the exact same camera we use. But if there's any technical quality issues or something's hard to follow because of resolution problems, just send feedback on Twitter or wherever, or on Twitch. I will try to make them better as we go. But yeah, another actually thing about Game Maker that makes it also better is because we can look at it fast. Like this is the project structure. Always when you start a game maker game, it has this by default. You can't really do anything about it, and basically has a folder for your sprites. And sprites are kind of like, it would be the character or anything that's interactive. So the graphics for anything interactive. So imagine you would have, if it's a character moving on the screen, if you're making a sword that's gonna swing or anything. If it's background, then it would go under backgrounds. Background is more like, you know, you want some trees in the background which you can't really touch or do anything with. You would put it in under backgrounds. And it also, when you make it under backgrounds, you get the additional benefit of it being a tile map. And when it's a tile map, I can show you fast. So in sprites, it also has animation, which backgrounds don't. They don't have animation. So let's create our first sprite. Let's call it test. And let's do edit sprite. So here you would see all the frames that that this sprite has. But right now it doesn't have anything because we haven't added anything. So let's add something. So it asks how big is this image. So let's go with 32 by 32. This is pixels. So as you can, you know, a pixel is just a cube on the screen. So this is now the first frame. So you can have several if we add several here. Right, okay. Let's see, which one was it? Create from file. Right there, so you can have many frames of your animation, whatever it is. So if you double click it, you can go and animate it, and you can zoom just by scrolling the wheel, and then you can just make a, you know, here's a troll face of some kind. You want to animate your troll face, you can. So now you have a sprite. So this would be our character, could be our character, and here you could make the second frame of him, you know, doing a bit different, whatever you need. So then now it's animating. So you can even see a preview here, it's animating it. So you could have different, like, oh, character running, character jumping, all that stuff. Or if it's like a ball, it could roll, or whatever you're doing, bullets. So in backgrounds, it's a bit different. You didn't show the sprite? Oh crap. Let me see. It's I'm using OBS. Let's see. Window capture. Let's see if I can add them. Display capture instead. Oh, and by the way, welcome. We're just starting out, so there isn't much yet going on, but I hope to get better, so any feedback is good. So now I hope you can see the... So let me show you again, because you didn't see anything of it. So I created this test sprite, and that test sprite is just... it can be anything. It can be the character, as I said. Actually, let's just delete and start over. That way you don't miss out on anything. So let's create a sprite. We can even call it character. It doesn't matter at this point. It can be anything, any image you would want, anything you would interact with. Oh, hi Beatbox, Rapcom. So here. Now in the edit sprite, you can also load. If you have already created your image, you can load it. But I'll show you just fast how to add the sprites from scratch. So we choose the... Oh, no. This is all live. It's Twitch. Of course, it's not pre-recorded. So here, it's like... We'll just use 32 by 32. So you can see here, this is now an empty image. So you can just double click it, edit it, make it edit. Well, let's do something really nice. I'm not gonna do art right now, doesn't matter. So this is your image now. So now you can move this around in your game, and it also has the sprites has the ability of having animation. So you can just add animation. As you can see here in the preview, it then animates the image. So if we go here and draw the second frame, which could be like him going more like something else. Let's see, whatever. So you see it's animating it. It doesn't look good. You should of course spend more time animating than this. So here you can have sprites. So the difference between sprites and background then, and of course you have collisions. There's a lot of features you can do, a lot. I'm not gonna go through them right now. But the difference between sprites and background is that then in background, if you create a background, here you can use tile maps. So how to explain it easily? So you can make it a tile set. Like now it's just an image, but you can also make it a tile set. So you could divide, as you see, it divides it all into different parts. So if you have a game and you want to have like different terrains, or if you want to have trees, you can make every part a part of the tile map, and then when you go into the game, you can just draw it, like draw your level or whatever. So that's what it's mostly used for. Sounds, of course, is just your sound effects. Paths, you can have how your characters or other things are moving on the game. Scripts is where all your code goes, which adds the behavior of the things. Shaders is to make things look good, like you can add kind of reflection effects or different effects to your images. Fonts is text, timelines, objects. Objects is a very important concept. So now that we created this character, you can assign it this sprite. Let's call this now the character. Usually you should write prefix what it is. That's what they recommend, and we'll do that too. And we should have now written sprite here in the beginning of this. So here you have also some pre-made code or behaviors you can add. So you don't have to be a coder if you want to make your own game in Game Maker. All of these you can add, like all from moving, different movement, jumping, paths, so you can make it move or follow something, objects. You can get quite far just by using these, and we might actually use in this some of the features from here. We'll also write code from scratch also. So now we assign this character, so now it will look like that character once we drag it on the screen, and you can even see that it has the same kind of small icon right here. So in rooms, that's actually your kind of where the game would be. Imagine it's your level. It could be your it could also be just like a scene or whatever you want to call it. Unity, they call it scene. Here they call it rooms. It's your level. So we can create here our first level. So as you see, the level is now, it's a grid. Because this is a 2D game or 2D game engine. Everything is just 2D, and this is the grid. So everything outside of here is empty. So now if you would have had that tile set, you can load it here. We could load our tile set and we could draw our level. It's not gonna look good because there's nothing there. But you can create your level from here. And here's our character. So we can place our character now into the game. Now there's a troll face in our game. Very interesting. So, but it of course won't do anything yet. It's just, you can have several characters. So if you press play, it's just gonna show those animation that we created. So this is probably not that nice of a game. So let's close the game. All right. So now we could. So for the character, I can show you some of the basic movement stuff. So this is where all the magic happens in the end. This is where all your code would go. Without this, it would just be static objects on the scene. So under objects, you have to add something here to make it move or make something. So events is the main way you run code. And events has different types, and they're all, you know, it's kind of scary if you never looked into it, but it's not that hard. Going through them shortly, like the most important ones is like create is when an object is created, when it first time shows up. So, you know, when someone enters the room the first time, then this code or behavior will be executed. So let's say, what would be a good example? Like, for example, you would like to that instantly someone enters the room, the character would wave. You could add that behavior here or something else. Same thing with destroy. Let's say that's when someone leaves the room, so the object is destroyed. So let's say you would sometimes, for example, in violent games, you would like maybe the game to kind of like the character to explode and then there's blood. So you could then replace this object with an explosion or something. So that's when you would use destroy, or if you just want to execute any kind of code again. Step is maybe a bit the most difficult to kind of understand if you've never done anything. Step is something that's run from every frame of the game, and there's even 3 different kinds of steps. Most of the cases you only will need step if you're making some simple game, but then when you get to more advanced games, more complex games, you have begin step and end step. So this is run every frame. So even, you know, imagine you're looking at my video like right now, or you don't have to imagine it, but you are. So this is also frames. I move because there's frames. The same thing exists in games. It has a frame. So this game, the code will run every frame of that game. That way, for example, you can make things move, because every time this frame is redrawn, it will do the code. So let's say it moves the character is the most basic example. Keyboard, if something happens with the keyboard, you can have it. That's another way of making movement, that you, for example, the keyboard left, right, control is pressed, or space for shooting. Collision is when you collide with something. Collision is used so that you wouldn't go into other objects. It kind of tells the other objects that this is solid, because you don't necessarily want your character to be able to walk through walls. So there's a concept called collision, colliders and collision to handle that just tells you that you're colliding with something. And then there's more key release, key press is a bit same as keyboard. They're all different. They all have their use cases. Here's game start. When the game started, when you have no more lives, you're dead. So to make this move, for example, we can have, like, let's say left, press left. And then there's different movements. So let's put the horizontal speed to -1. So now the horizontal, when you press left, the horizontal speed should be -1 on the object character. See what happens. Oh, we don't have to open the room, but there's now 4 characters, of course, on the screen. So now it's moving left. You can maybe hear me pressing it, and when I release, it still continues moving left, because it just puts the speed to -1. And why I knew it was -1 is because always in most game engines, minus it's always to your left and plus is to your right. So it's kind of it's just something you learn over time. And usually plus is if you vertically, plus would be up and then minus would be down. This of course can change, and if it's moving the wrong direction, you just make it from minus to plus and you fixed it. Nothing to worry about there. Okay, so now you might want, like for example, you could also have now that, for example, key release left. Let's put the horizontal speed to 0. So the only thing I did was add an event that when you release the left key, it puts the horizontal speed to 0. That way, I'm not wrong, when the game runs and we release the left key, it should move. Let's try it. So now it's moving left. Now I release. Oops. Now it stopped. So we're really getting it doing something. Now we get something where you can move left with 4 characters. That is really annoying. Maybe we should go and edit the animation. Let's go and remove those unnecessary frames. So we only get this nice smile. So now we have and let's also remove from the room all these, so we don't have 4 characters on it. It's not really needed. Let's just delete these. Now we just have 1 character, and I don't know if we even need the back tiles that we added. So you also have layers, so this removes when I click here don't worry about it. We'll go through everything with due time. I might be doing a lot of stuff, but so now, as you see, when we press left, it's moving left. And when I release it, it's stopping. It's nothing complex. And then to do moving right, you could do the same way. There's, of course, better ways of doing this that's much more simple. So now I open the object character again. So now press left, it's moving left, release left, it's stopping. So we could then now say that when you key press right, then move put the horizontal speed to +1, so the opposite of -1, and then if we release the right key, it puts the horizontal speed to 0 again. So now I should be able to move left and right. Oh, and hi, Flow Cobble. Welcome to the chat. We're just getting started on just going through basics. So you might be more advanced what I'm going through right now. I'm just showing basic stuff, and there's definitely better ways of doing it. I'm trying to explain the basic concepts. So here you have now the character is moving left and right. I'm pressing right, this is going right, left, left. Nothing really special about this. And the game is done. GameMaker definitely is worth checking out if you want to make 2D games and you want to get something really fast started. It's really good on just really rapid prototyping, getting something on the screen fast, not having to wait for like you know, 100 years to get showing. So now we have this. It really doesn't, you know, this is nothing special. What could we do next? There's so much we could do. It depends. So we move left and right. It depends. Are we making a platformer? Are we making it for, you know, what platform? These are all things before you start making a game. You have to start thinking about what is the platform, what kind of are you using controller? Are you using touchscreen? Are you using, and then of course you can make a version that's, you know, you can make a version that you know you've made it first for touchscreen and now you're making it for controller. But usually those games tend to be a bit bad because there's very few games that run really well on all kinds of devices, because then you have to change a bit how the game works, and those games are the ones that work well. There's of course exceptions, like Hearthstone is quite well and works quite well on everything. I don't know, is there any questions? Do you have anything you're like would like to know about or hear about? Like, I can tell about my background. I have a master's degree in game development and production from University of Aalto from Finland. I've been mostly using Unity actually for my game development, making both 2D and 3D games. And just recently started using Game Maker, maybe a couple of months ago, but there's not much difference between Game Maker and Unity. Unity is more maybe complex, and it doesn't really have pre-made any kind of pre-made behaviors for your objects. You just have to make them yourself from scratch, and that's what I tend to do also with my stuff when I made in anything right now in Game Maker, is that I just have a create event, destroy event, and a step event, and maybe a begin step event sometimes, and that's where I do most of the code and add the behavior. I haven't really used too much of these because there's nothing wrong with them, and it actually sometimes it is, you can just get away with using it, but usually my games tend to be much more complex, that later on, like let's say we create this kind of movement and later on I want to make it where, for example, the character can jump on a car, then having relative speeds depending on are you on the car or not might be difficult. So when you really made it from the ground up, it's a bit easier to kind of add things later on. But if you're just starting out, it doesn't really matter. You just do what gets it working in the beginning. That's, I think, the most important thing, is to not get too obsessed about having it a particular way. If it's you're really in the beginning, because then it's better to just get it working really fast, see if it's even worth having. Is it making the game more fun? I think a lot of people don't think about that. They just add features on top of features on top of features. But really checking if it is really fun, and asking yourself that, and then going to people and having them test playing your game. If they don't really have fun playing it, then sure. So I can show you how to add some basic code. So this was the behaviors. We can delete these. So we can also do the same with so Beatbox is asking, can you define these things what you did in the object editor through code 2? yeah, so what you would do is, like, let's say you don't, like, you're already a programmer, you already know basic, like, you just want to get started fast. So of course, creators like a constructor, destroy event, and step is mostly what you would need. So let's say you want to do an action every frame, so we would add the step event then. And then under control, you have a code. So there's two different ways you could do this. Execute code and execute script. There's really no difference. I prefer to use execute code. It kind of is just a bit easier to use, or like, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. You can do whichever you want. So let's so you just drag and drop this in here, and then it opens your coding window. There's really no syntax. So if you would be used for something else where you would have classes, this doesn't really support classes. This doesn't support anything like that. It's basically just it executes this code. So if you put here like x, you know, well, x, so you would have to go and look up the like, if you go to Game Maker's webpage, Game Maker constants. So it has a lot of constants you have to know. Oh, sorry, my internet's a bit crappy. I'm trying to improve on it. I'm trying to stream this at 1080 just so you can see what it says, because the text can be really small. I hope that next week, like, I'm trying to do these every Thursday now and actually make a whole game during the stream, so that, you know, all the coding, everything would be here. But let's see if we can find the. But right now it's a bit it's through 4G, so it's a bit slow. Okay, these are just showing those. But anyway, there's constants like x. So if you want to make x 10, you would just put x 10. It doesn't even need the semicolon then, but I'm so used to writing it, it doesn't really matter. So here you would then write your code. So this would execute it now. So if you say if x is, you know, 10, then make x 50, whatever, 30. So this is now the x position of the code. I don't really do it this way. Like, it would now execute this code for every frame of the object. So if you run the game, then you know, it would do that. But what I do use, I don't know if this is a good way, but what I do is, so when you create a script here, let's call it move character script. This now becomes a function. Of course, just if you have your game somewhere downloadable, just you can, on Twitter at Game Dev Company, you can just send a link. I'll take a look at it for sure. So this becomes a function now that's named move character. It's a bit weird from if you're coming from any other programming language. This is not really how it works. This is Game Maker language that it uses, or let's say like jump you could make also. So now this makes different functions. So now when you go here, I would just make, you can just do move character, and now it would move the character. This way, it, you know, basically you just have a stack of functions here, and you can of course give it also you can also give it just you know, arguments, and then here in the move character, it's just called argument 0 is the first one, argument 1, and then you have access to the data that goes through here. It's not the best way of doing it. I know a bit German because my mother tongue is Swedish. I've studied some German, so I might be able to figure it out. Plus, if it's a good game, you shouldn't have to know a language, except if it's really RPG heavy. So I can of course show you guys, just to explain that. Well, we can save this, it doesn't matter. So let's open project. I can just show you a bit more. This is also still in the beginning, but this is like a game that's a bit further, like we have. So I tend to kind of give folders also depending on what type of code it is. So here's like the create stuff, I call them init scripts. And then you would have movement. So a different type of movement depending on what it would be. And then you have, I made a general move script. So if you open that, it has just a basic move script, and it just can move either relative to its parent or by its own. This is basically linear interpolation, which you usually use in Unity. So I like to do it that way. So now if I would open a character, let's see, objects. So you have a character. So we have create, end step, and draw. So here in the end step, it doesn't, I just have, for example, move character, which checks is keys pressed, what's the movement logic. Then, you know, checks the collisions. So this is the character collision that's from here. And then you have move, where it expects the movement to be set into a variable that's called relative x. If you have a coding background, it's, sorry, not relative x, sorry, xx, which is something I just picked up from other people using GameMaker. It's really bad because let's say I would do some new script here, and then let's say it changes to XX. Like I forgot that I called this XX. Now this is changing XX, which would mean that it really then can screw up your whole game, and then you're spending hours debugging. You can call me Björn, which is a Swedish name meaning bear. Björn. I haven't started a game tag yet. So this is how I usually do it. There's different ways. There's no wrong ways in my opinion. There's just different ways. And the important thing is to always keep in mind is that when you start off, it's easy to do in a bad way, if you want to call it bad, but then when you move on, it's really good to start categorizing things. It's a bit like your clothing closet that, you could jam all your clothes just in the closet, and then, you want to find your other pair of the sock, you can't find it, and then you don't know what's broken in your code. This is a bit similar, that you want to create these drawers, you want to categorize them, you want to make some kind of standard naming for things, so you can find them later on easier. And even if you do that, you're still gonna have trouble. Socks will anyway get lost because you just, that's what happens. So in the create script, for example, in the init player or init move, for example, I put the initial values. So let's say I would like to have another thing, that this was for the character. So I, for example, have the fish in this game. I can use the same function, so it's reusable. That's another really good concept when coding, is to keep things so-called dry, which stands for don't repeat yourself, basically, when you're coding, if you keep copy-pasting a lot, you're most probably creating chaos for yourself later on. Because then let's say you want to change one thing that would apply to all of those other things, then you would have to go and search every file, open it, change it in 10 different places. So it's good to think about how to keep it so that, you know, a piece of code, if it's similar, it's always just in one place, and then you reuse it. So then when you want to change how something works, you just have to change it in one place, and suddenly, voila, the whole game logic changes, or whatever you're doing. So I'm not going to explain all the code, because I'm not saying it's very advanced. It's quite simple, but it's probably for the people who do understand it, they understand it. If people don't, you know, I'd rather go through the basics before we go into this deep. But this is drawing is if you want to change something in the draw. You can't change drawing in the step. So if you want to change the sprite, like the picture, you have to use a draw, and that's also called then all the time. So what else to show? So this is how I usually code things. So then you would have in your, and then general system codes like get controller, just a script, because I have my Xbox controller. I tend to develop first for controller because of course, for example, mobile games are very interesting, but right now it's a bit hard to kind of it's really hard to get any kind of traction in the mobile market. There's like big companies that are pushing millions in funding and marketing and buying users, and to be able to make money there, or to even get your game noticed, you know, the only person who's going to download it is your mom and your best friend. So yeah, I could put something in the background. It's probably not going to help from the buzz noise from my fan. I'm sorry. I wonder if it needs to be the royalty free, because otherwise they're going to take down the video. Let's see if I can find. YouTube usually has the royalty free things. I'll look into it in a moment. But yeah, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so the controller and market. So I'll tend to do the controller even if I'm gonna make a PC game, because there's less buttons on this than your keyboard. So if you're kind of controller, when you code for the controller, you kind of have to limit yourself and think about, you know, how many things you can make your user do, instead of, you know, on the keyboard. It usually tends to become a bit more complex. Of course, if you're making something like that's a set genre already, like a FPS, just go ahead and do it for the keyboard. But if you're making like a 2D platformer, usually a lot of players like to play with the controller. So we actually haven't yet released too much of games, because actually John has worked in Digital Chocolate. He's worked on a lot of Facebook games, but I haven't yet actually released a game, because we don't want to release something that's not good. So how we work is that we've been working on different games for 3-4 years, and what happens is that or not what happens is, like, we could have released the game by now, and we have several games that are releasable, that, you know, there's nothing technically wrong in them, but we don't want to release something that's not really good, in a way that we really, you know, want to make something that, you know, makes sense. It's the same thing with like how, for example, Supercell, who makes Clash of Clans and all those guys, they have the same kind of strategy that, you know, they might even have, they made more games than they released. But yeah, in that way, I worked on other product as a coder for 10 years, but not on games, from e-learning to different kind of projects. And we have made games that we released for free, but nothing commercial yet. So this is, you know, one way of looking at it is the controller, though. Like, there's no right or wrong ways again. It just helps kind of simplify and getting those games released once they're good, instead of, you know, overcomplicating them. And Nibble now, also welcome to the stream. We're just looking at random things and whatever you want to know about game making or game maker. So this is an example project. It's not really ready yet. I think this is what the amount of time put into this game is about, I think, 8 hours. And what I have in 8 hours, you can expect to not even have even this. So I'll put on the controller. So this is a very simple game. Oh, okay, wait a minute. It doesn't look like much. We haven't had any artists work on it yet. So this is what you can expect to have ready in like 8 hours. So you can fish things, you can do things. We really don't spend any time on the visuals, just the things that really matter for gameplay. So it's a fishing game, it's very simple. You can fish the game, you're supposed to catch amount of fish within time. It's not really finished yet. It's the game we're developing, and we're talking more about on Tuesdays when John's here. Is there anything else? I don't know if this answered your coding question, or is there anything more you want to know? I'm not, like I said, gonna go today too deep on it. I would rather that we start making a game. So every Thursday around this time, I will stream and I will be working on this game. And, you know, the game is defined by what you guys want and what, you know, if we want to make a platformer, that's fine. If we want to make an RPG, that's fine. And we'll just start from the beginning. Like, I would be working on it on my own. And then, you know, I'm not going to work on it outside of the stream. So if you want to follow along, you can. And if, you know, so every step will be kind of documented into the stream. And that way, you know, you can influence the game. If you want to learn, if you have your own idea, but you don't want us to make it, you can learn the basics of Game Maker here, and then you can go off and make your own thing. Or if you're just interested or just want to hang out, that's okay too. So I guess there's no other question about the coding, so I can close this project because I'd rather have the clean project. So let's see if I can set up the music well. So all of these also, of course, are going to be available on YouTube and also on this channel, but Twitch removes them after 60 days. So after that, they're going to be on YouTube until I get 10,000 followers or something, whatever they're required to become a host. No, just kidding. Well, maybe someday. But everything will be also posted on YouTube, where it will be forever. So if you miss out, you can't be here on Thursdays, that's okay too. Let's see. Creator Studio. But yeah, I wasn't gonna start making the game today. I was just gonna kind of introduce the concept, just show you maybe some basics of Game Maker, and also because we just started this Twitch channel, we don't really have any followers. I wasn't even expecting anybody to watch, so it's really nice having you guys here actually following. But of course, in the future, I will prepare better and I will have some kind of like idea of what I should cover during. But right now, it's just free form. Whatever you want to talk about. I can also show some Unity if there's people who want to see that, or if there's anything else that you're interested in. Okay, there's some music. Let's see. This is not very good music though. It might be actually better if you just listen to your own thing, because then you don't have to. Then you just don't have to listen to crappy music. All right. So Unity is a bit different. Let's wait for load. So Unity is a 3D engine, as GameMaker is more for 2D games. 3D, and you can make 2D games, and they're actually working on making it, you know, better for 2D developers. Let's see. Here you can see some kind of structure, and there's some errors I'm having right now with the plugin I'm using. But it's mainly for 3D. So as you can see, the scene right now it's on 2D mode, but usually it would be in 3D. So it's like a full 3D engine. You can make almost any type of game if you have experience. Okay, thanks Flowcobble. I'll check it out for sure. And give you some feedback and send you back whatever you want to know. Is there something particular you want me to look at, or is it just, you know, play it and give general feedback? It's always good. If you have a game, get it tested. Get people playing that game. You know, you might enjoy developing it, but if nobody wants to play it, I mean, of course, if you're just making art for yourself so you can sit at home playing it alone, that's okay. But most people want to share it with somebody. So you should think about kind of what, you know, or you should test it just early on, even if you're embarrassed. Like I showed that fishing game, it's not really ready. That graphics, that's what I spent, like, I just made like the spider I had. I just drew it like in whatever I can do in like a couple of seconds just to get it there. And then, you know, we are actually going to test that version in maybe a week of time. And we're probably not going to upgrade the graphics much. Like John's mostly is the artist. I'm more the designer / programmer. And he's a designer too. You know, the graphics don't matter in the beginning. It's the gameplay that matters. But anyway, back to Unity. So Unity is a 3D engine. It has some 2D features, or it can do 2D too. And it has the same concept of sprites. It doesn't really have the concept of backgrounds or anything. And when you would start this whole project, this whole, here's the same thing. Here's the folders. This would all be empty. You would have nothing here. These are all made by me or defined by me. So as you can see, it's quite fast. If you don't, like here, I didn't really spend much time making it nice and clean. It becomes really messy, quite fast. I think, let's see, maybe even play it now. I think the plugin is in this game is broken. But here you have the same concept, just like in GameMaker. If we move it a bit, this is the GameMakers where you have all your files and the things. Here it's under project. I don't even think this is the default view. I've changed it a bit. Let's put the layout to kind of probably look something like this when you would start it. Or like, oh, sorry, default. This is what it would look like, yeah. This is what it would look like when you started it. So just to start from the beginning. So here you have all your things in GameMaker. So it's the same thing here. you would have an assets folder, and under that you can create your own. The difference game makers, they force you to use this structure. Here you can do whatever you want. For example, but I like to use the one column views. It's a bit more clean, and like to also move it to the left so it doesn't take so much space. So you have the game. Oh, actually it works somehow. You can see the character. So but here in Unity you have scenes. You don't have rooms like in Game Maker. So now I made a new scene. It's usually empty and blue in the beginning, and it's the same concept. Like here's the default scene which I load, so now it loaded that scene into the game. The hierarchy is the objects that exist in the game. So if you would go here, and we had our troll face in our game here, right here. Here you don't really have a list of what object exists anywhere, as I know. You can't really see it anywhere. But in Unity, you have a hierarchy, and you can see, where did it go? Unity. So you can see the whole hierarchy of objects. So let's say this is the character, the player. So if I now delete this, the character there would disappear. But it's the same thing. You have objects, which are these, and then under the objects you have scripts. So here it's a bit different. I code in C#. You can also code in Unity script, which is a bit like JavaScript, or I think those are the two. They used to have more, but I think those are the two that I would recommend. I recommend C# if you just have the time to learn it. So here also you can see there's a lot of different structured of codes, flocking and all kinds of. I don't think this will run because of this. I have to fix that so I can show you at some later date how this actually looks. But or then we have to create a new project. I haven't tried Amazon Lumberyard yet. I'm going to, mostly because actually Amazon, let's put something. So what is this reggae? I don't even know what this music is. So just tell me if it's annoying. I don't know even how loud it is. It's really loud in my speakers, on my headphones. No, this is some reggae. This is not. What the hell is this? Anyway, Lumberyard. So Lumberyard, I really kind of don't want to. I haven't really looked into it. It's interesting how it integrates to Amazon Web Services, but it's not. It's more for if you want to really make. Can you now hear it? I can put it louder, but I don't know how loud it should be. I don't know. Is that good? There's probably a delay, so. Well, tell me if it's too loud. I don't know if you can even hear what I'm talking or not. So Lumberyard, yeah, back to Lumberyard. So Lumberyard is Amazon's, it's not Amazon, it's built on Crytek engine, and actually Crytek just gave out their engine free too, like the basic Crytek and Cry engine. But the thing is that it's, if you really want to make some kind of MMO or like, well, not even MMO, but like massively multiplayer something, yeah, you could go that way. If you want to go like 3D games, yes, it's good. I haven't looked at its 2D capabilities. I don't know. The good thing about it that it integrates Amazon services, but so does they have good SDKs for Unity too. Okay, now the music stopped already. It's hard with music because it needs to be royalty free or they'll take down the whole stream, not the stream, but the videos later on. So, okay. I'll turn off the, there, now it shouldn't, you don't hear it as an echo. So, I might take a look at it later on, but it depends again if you're really looking what your project is. That's how actually you should decide your engine, is that who's your audience, what target platforms are you targeting. So Game Maker, you can't target every platform. For example, Unity, you can target almost every platform. It has really good support for almost everything out of the box. So it's really good in that way, and it's easy to build. Maybe Android is the hardest because you have to install all the packages. Make sure they work, sorry. So here the concept is you have all the same objects here, and you can attach scripts on top of them. So let's actually, I wonder if we somehow could mute those errors, or maybe we make a new project. Otherwise I can't show you. Let's just do a 2D project for 3D or Unity. There we go. So now we have an empty project. This is empty scene. So now we can do save scene just to have one called default. Now it's here. So now you can create folders. There's a lot of things you can create, just like in Game Maker. So you have a folder, you can call it this. You can even copy the whole structure if you want. You could be like sprites. It's not a bad idea. It's actually a really good idea to just follow that. If you're used to Game Maker and you want to go to Unity, you can just copy all this, like scripts. Oh, I actually made a script now. Folder scripts. So now I'm making all of this. So now, well, maybe we just delete this one. So now, the thing with Unity, why it's a bit slower for 2D development, it doesn't have all the tools. And if you want to make art, or like in Game Maker, you know, you have the sprite. So I made this character in the stream, I mean, in 2 seconds. You know, let's say I want to edit him, I can just go here and I can draw some hair on him, and now the troll face has hair, and you know, give him yellow eyes just to make him more interesting looking. You know, that's done now. But in Unity, you would have to use an external program to do that. So you would have to either do it in Paint or in Photoshop or whatever if you have an artist, whatever he uses. So it's that way it's a bit more difficult to develop fast. So if you're like alone and you have nobody helping you on your game, you know, Game Maker's easier. But Game Maker, again, I wouldn't recommend if you want to do 3D games. So you can create objects here. So we can create a sprite. Now we will have a position. I don't really have an image now to use. I could of course copy the image from here. Here's the same character. Just drag him into the Unity. Where are you? Did I close Unity? Crap. Sorry guys, I closed Unity. Oh, no, I didn't. Where's the other Unity? There we go. Oh, sorry. Sometimes I don't recognize the icon. It looks Just give me a sec. I'll just show the basics of Unity, or the basic setup, or the basic premise. I'm not gonna go too deep, but I can show that fast. Oh, the music stopped again. So yeah, I was dragging that file, sorry. So we can drag the sprite, this wrong folder, sorry. So now you would have here the image. So recognize that it's a sprite. And then there's a lot of settings. We can just drag this here. Now you have the same character here. So now, let's say we want to make it move. Now there's no behaviors anymore. There's nothing. You can buy some plugins like that in the Unity store, which is really big. So you can buy something that resembles. So let's make a script. We can call it move or something. This creates a script. So now compared to Game Maker, it's opening Visual Studio. So now compared to Game Maker, if you look at them. So this is the script now. If we compare it to the code, we made something. So here, you know, you would have the code straight here. So x plus equals 1, whatever you would write here. If health is bigger than 0, no, smaller than maybe 0, then, you know, destroy instance or something, you know, whatever. Well, actually it's instance destroy. So no, it would destroy it if I don't know why you would put that in the move character. But then we look here, this is like a proper C#. So you have your class, it extends the mono behavior, which is where all the features for Unity is. This is the start. So start is the same thing as you would here in the object, you would have a create event. So it runs when this is the object is created in the scene or created in the room. Oh, Visual Studio. Update is the step event. This is run now every how fast it can. There's an update fixed for every frame. And these are all built in. So a file here is not a function, it's a class, or many classes, and that executes. Then there's these built in. If you don't extend mono behavior, these will do nothing. But because you're extending mono behavior, they become the same things, events. So now if I would like to have this move apply to this character, I can just I just drag it, and now this will be executed when this character is run. So the inspector you always see, oh, I forgot to even tell that, like you can see the whatever you're clicking here, the object, you see it's all its properties. Whatever scripts are attached. This is another script, that's Unity script, that makes it render this character. The nice thing about Unity, that Game Maker, it doesn't need to compile it as much. You know, it's instantly you press play, it's running it. You can even pause it. You can even go and change values in the inspector, saying like, oh, the order layer should be 10, oh, or whatever. So you can test much faster. And yeah, and then you have a bit more control because you have a 3D camera or 2D camera, so you can actually, you have a camera in 3D space, so you can move the camera. If we move the camera here in the 3D space, the character will move also. Is there anything, you know, this is not an in-depth review of Unity, just showing how it's similar to Game Maker, but if you have any questions, I can maybe answer them. Oh, let's not go there. I can look at the Twitter fast, maybe download the game and get all the viruses. Let's see. Yeah, it's downloading. Minor request too. So what kind of games do you play? Like, what kind of games do you play? Like FPS, 3D games? And is it the same games you want to make? Or is it like 2D games, indie games? What do you prefer? Did it start downloading? There we go, 53 megs. You have some. So, but this is Unity, so it's also really good. And they were promising some new things where you could draw the level. Like here, you can't draw anything. You would have to position them just like 3D objects. You can of course move them here, but let's say you want to make a tile-based game, it's a bit harder. But they're working on that. Actually, a friend of mine is working as the 2D or working on the 2D stuff in Unity, and I hope that they really release it soon. They were supposed to release it actually this month, but then I heard that they hired a new project lead for the whole 2D part of it, and now it's been delayed. I don't know how long. It actually says in Unity has a nice roadmap, so if you're interested in what features is gonna come up, you can instantly see it from their web page. You have here a roadmap, so here we can see 2D joints is gonna actually be released currently, and here you can see June 2016. You can see whatever is coming out. But I think if I remember right, in development, it was actually supposed to be released here in the current 5.3x, I think. No, 5.4 or 5.3. But then they got a new project manager, so you know, all this cool stuff, you know, especially the tile map got delayed. Yeah, simulation games are awesome. They're really complex to make. Of course, Just Cause is more of an action game. It's really cool. I tend personally to play everything, but of course, what you make and you know what you play sometimes aren't the same. Like I've noticed, for example, personally that, for example, I love playing puzzle games, for example, but I know that designing a puzzle game is really, really, really hard. So I tend to more make action games usually. Like, actually, there's also could show the game we made for our master's thesis for school, but I don't know if that's relevant. Let's see if it's downloaded. Oh, let's see what am I agreeing to. So this is Low Cobble's game. Oh, cool. So what are the keys? Do you know? Oh, okay. Was the basic, and you can jump. And there's an invisible barrier. Cool. So, let's see what we can do. It's been a while since I looked at Kinect and Unity. There are definitely some libraries. If you go to Unity Store, I'm gonna pause the game just fast or just leave it running. But if you go to Unity has a built-in store into their engine. Here, it's actually a web page. You can also go web page. So if you just go there, let's just write Kinect. It might have some free plugins, and there might be some bought ones, like paid ones. So here's probably there's one Kinect, several. You can see there's different packages. Some of them are free. Like let's look at this one. so it has Kinect stuff in it. I'm very sure there's even might be a Microsoft made SDK. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't personally used it. But definitely you can do it in Unity. And Game Maker, I'm not so sure there would be a Kinect for Game Maker. So, oh. I picked him up, I guess. I don't know. Or then I ate him. Can't eat him. One small thing you can do if you're running tests, try to not tell what to do to the tester, except if he has a technical problem. Something went from green to red. I don't know what that did. That probably will kill me if I hit it. So I should jump over it probably. Nope, I died. That's a checkpoint. Now I understood it. So for example, it's easy, you know, if you see someone play your game, you're like, oh, that's a checkpoint, just so you know, I'm not really ready. It's not really, you know, don't worry about it. It's really good to not tell them, because then you will notice how they perceive it, how fast do they understand that was a checkpoint. Let's see if I can jump over this. And then here probably after this it's a checkpoint again. Now there's a door. Let's see. So now there's probably a puzzle which I should have done to open this door, I guess. Of course it's not really clear what I'm supposed to do. Let's go back. Probably has to do something with the guy who hanged himself. But can I even get up anymore? That's the question. Guess that's possible. No. And now I took this checkpoint. I don't know if it's actually possible to solve this anymore. Can I even get up? Do you know? Can you double jump? Nope. Yeah, I probably was supposed to do something with the hang guy, but it's not really clear if I'm supposed to. Or maybe I need to press a button to open the door. It's not jump, at least. Let's see, E, Q, F. No? But this is a good example for a game, like, you know, I don't know how long you've been developing. Mouse? Oh. Okay. Okay, now I died. Yeah, that's the thing. I wouldn't expect to use the mouse to open the door, because you know, all the other controls are on the keyboard. So I would expect it to be like walk up here and then press some kind of interact, like E or something. Like here I would press E and it would open. Oh, okay. I'm sucking again. So this is really cool. Like, I don't know how long you've been developing, but this is, you know, I couldn't dodge that one, so I have to actually open the door at the same time. Let's try it again. Oh, can I get, no, shouldn't have waited. So let's see. Oh. I wonder if that goes through the door. Almost there. But yeah. Hope there's a checkpoint soon. Oh, no, too fast. Yeah, but this is a cool game. I mean, it's already showing some basic principles. It's, you know, of course, it's, you know, still in the beginning phase of... Oh, sorry, my phone goes on. But it's already, you know, not too shabby. I mean, just with some, you know, changes in the, like I said, I would change that to maybe using E to open the door, or then you have to teach. If there's anything else you can do with the mouse than open doors, maybe it makes sense to open doors with the mouse. But in most cases, it wouldn't. Oh crap! You have to practice that. Like I said, this is. And then the other thing is, you know, then it's just most of this stuff is just art and oh, come on, no, come on, I gotta get through that though. Damn it. But yeah, of course, you should think about kind of okay. But yeah, that was a cool game. I mean, definitely continue working on it and send again when you have a new version, and maybe make a level that's a bit easier so you don't get stuck too fast. That's one part of the fun, is kind of making the challenge gradually get harder. All 2 times? But yeah, the mouse thing, maybe I would reconsider, except if you have a really good cause that I didn't finish the level, so of course there might be a reason why you're using the mouse, but maybe make it into you know, E or something, or have the option to do both. That you can also use the keyboard to open the door. That way it's a bit less, you know, using, except if there's something that later on will make the mouse more involved, then of course it's better to just teach them to interact with the mouse from the get-go. But yeah, Connect, we talked about that. So definitely there's possibilities of using Unity with Connect. If you want to, if you own one. It only works on Windows, but so does GameMaker. I don't think there's Connect for GameMaker. You can Google that probably. You don't have to have me Google it, but there's. But the nice thing about Unity is that it really, if you just get over the kind of initial hump, it's a really powerful engine. You can do everything in it. It teaches you C#, which teaches you all the best practices of coding. So if you want to become a professional coder later on, Unity teaches you really good things. Versus GameMaker, which teaches you easily bad practices that then creates spaghetti code, which is the enemy of all coders, because, you know, you might understand the spaghetti code as, you know, as you're programming it, but try to go back to code that you haven't looked at for 2 years and then, you know, try to figure it out. And if it's spaghetti code, you know, you're gonna hate yourself. So definitely C# is a bit better, but even there you can make really bad code. Like if your files are longer than, like, personally, I would say that if a file is longer than, you know, if you have to scroll in your file, you already have too much code. I will be using GameMaker because it's just easier. Because let's say I want to make I want to make some character. I'm not really an artist. I know how to draw. I have a Vacom, but if I need a character, I can just draw it here. Versus in Unity, I would have to jump within Photoshop. Plus, we can get the game working really fast because of like getting up the basics, because you have those behaviors that are in the already here. So if you want to make a wall jump, there's already stuff that can help you do that. Versus Unity, where you would really have to kind of code everything from scratch. And I think it might be a bit boring watching Unity in comparison. But maybe later on we can also make a version in Unity and see what are the differences making in Unity. And you can still follow good practices in GameMaker. You just have to use these files as functions and create those folders. Keep organizing them well. Keep everything sorted, and there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just a bit, it's really good if you're starting out. There's no point in worrying about classes and inheritance and constructors and all that stuff. It's really just good that you start learning. That's how I started when, almost 25 years ago already, that, just start hacking something together. And then you start understanding what's, how things work. And then all those concepts you use here are still reusable in Unity. It's the same logic. There's actually some things in GameMaker that's better, because you actually have to, for example, deal with collisions yourself much more. You have to actually write the collision code, whereas in Unity, Unity has built-in colliders, which automatically has a built-in the whole physics engine, like the NVIDIA PhysX engine, which means you're never gonna learn that. So, and then at some point you will want to edit the code, the how physics works. But the only thing maybe I would like from GameMaker would be that it would have not these kind of objects, but real coding objects. I don't know. Like right now, I was thinking a platformer, just like your game was. Like maybe making some kind of platformer, maybe parkour or something. I don't know. It's all up to also what you guys want to make. Something cool. We can create. Of course, not everybody's ideas are gonna come in, because then it's impossible to. It's impossible to make everything, but there was some other game that also used Twitch. I don't know if they coded it live on the stream, but they did take all the ideas and discuss the game live. But I was that's my initial thought. Today I'm probably gonna quit in about half an hour. I still have to eat. I don't know what time zone you're in, but it's already like 8:30 p.m. around here in Finland. But we will start making more content. Like every Thursday, I will do this, and on Tuesdays, we will make. Yeah, so you're probably in England or something, right? So every Tuesday we will more talk about just the game development scene, Finland has an awesome game development scene. We have especially for mobile, like Supercell, Remedy, who made Max Payne and Alan Wake, and also we have a really good scene. If you have a local chapter, German, wouldn't that be the same time zone? Oh, I don't know. Actually, no, probably not. So if you have your local chapter of IGDA, okay, cool. You're not that far away then. From southern Finland, like I live around Helsinki, so. But yeah, IGDA, International Game Developers Association. If you have a local chapter, they have usually meets in different countries. You should check it out if you haven't already. Let's see if my internet can handle this. Oh, dead hamster, probably. There we go. .org. Sorry. Luckily, it wasn't porn or something. So, I recommend going to. They usually have these kind of meetups. Look up if there's a local chapter of this. Usually, in Finland, for example, it's kind of interesting because you can be in the at their meetings, and then you'll sit there and talk to people, and one person will be indie developer like me, and then there might be a student that's like just getting started in the game developers industry, and then there might be a millionaire like the CEO of Supercell sitting there, Ilkka Paananen or someone else, and you'll have a conversation about the game industry and what's going on. So hopefully the same kind of mentality might be in your local chapter. I really recommend going and checking it out. I don't know if there's a German IGNA. I don't know, you have to Google that. Oh, well, let's see. There's some languages. Oh, it's Google Translate. Media contact and calendar, webinars. But they might have a local chapter of IGDA. Kiel, no. I've just been to Berlin like any tourist. Never been to Kiel. I've heard of it. Don't know the exact location. But I've been to Berlin, and I have to say I was really disappointed because there was like no internet anywhere. You have to go to McDonald's to get internet. The hotel, they charge like crazy amounts for just getting a basic. Whereas almost everywhere else in a capital city, the hotel would have free internet, free Wi-Fi. Anyway, but otherwise it was a really nice journey. But yeah, never been to Kiel. But yeah, this is of course from the USA, this organization, but Sale Week. Let's see if there's a German. I wonder if it would be. It would probably be in German though. Then. Oh, misspelled it. I don't know if this is the same. Looks different. Went back to the. Probably not. The right one. But in Finland we have the IGDA Finland. And you're of course welcome to come over. If you live in Europe, you can come to Finland if you just need a trip, and come to one of these. Here you can see some of the game companies in Finland that run mostly mobile. Supercell, most people know, made Clash of Clans, Heyday, all of those. Rovio, Angry Birds, Remedy, Max Payne, Alan Wake. Now coming out with Quantum Break. A lot of my friends are working in Remedy. a lot of friends in Supercell, a lot of friends in Rovio. Actually, one of our artists for our project now is working in Rovio. Also, the reason why he can't work with us anymore. Housemark has a lot of nice, really interesting games. And then there's a lot of... I think we have over 300 game companies in Finland. So even if you would come to Finland, if you understand English, which you probably do if you're listening to me, you can just come to our events. But of course, that's going to cost you a bit. But it's really good. I highly recommend it. And if there's no IGDA, look if there's some other community, you know. Try to find other people to work with. If you're working alone, it's much nicer. Or then start your own Twitch channel and, you know, maybe you can develop through that. I mean, usually games get just better when you get feedback. You know, in the beginning you might feel like, hey, this is my baby, I don't want all these opinions. But usually it just leads to very odd games that don't, like boring games that, you know, how many people can make a better Just Cause 2? Not many. It's actually really, really hard. Even, you know, look at just mods on good games. Usually they ruin the game or make it worse. There's some good, excellent mods, but they're also made by excellent people. So get feedback, get testing, have your friends play it, have your whoever. There's never, you know, never a reason not to test. It's never too early to test. If you have anything to test, if you have, you know, if this is your game and this is about 90% of what you're gonna have, or, you know, this already shows the kind of basic gameplay, you can test it. You can test it on paper. You could have, you know, draw and explain the game for someone, and then you can get feedback and see if they have some interesting ideas. But yeah, we're gonna use Game Maker. We're gonna make something out of it. Not sure yet what. Probably a platformer, starting with that, because it's kind of easy to do to get started with, but then it might pivot to anything else. Not really gonna do an RPG, like an action game, most probably, because RPG needs a lot of dialogue and storyline. Of course, it would be interesting to create a storyline online live, but I don't know about that. Maybe that's too big of a challenge. Maybe for the next project. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else at this point, because I have to actually think about what game I'm gonna make, and then have to prepare a bit so that, you know, I'm not gonna, like I said, all the development will be on this stream. There's not gonna be anything, like, you will see everything. I will commit everything into the source tree to GitHub. I'm probably not gonna commit anything I did today. I'm gonna stash it. It's there and stashed. You can even delete the stash. Bye. So everything will be there, and if you wanna follow along, or if you missed something, or if you just wanna steal some code that I made, you can always go to GitHub, using GitHub to so there, here it is. Here's the basics. It'll start, and then I will be committing everything I do here, and then maybe even some other people will maybe do something, and maybe we'll merge it into the game. Maybe not in the beginning, but that's definitely possible. But yeah, thanks all for joining me. I didn't even expect anybody to come and listen, so I'm sorry if this is a bit like going back and forth and not really having any kind of thread through it, but I hope you're interested in this kind of thing, and hopefully you will come back next week. Maybe I'll do this more often, you know, once we get started. There's nothing really stopping me from doing that. But next week we'll get started. It'll start about, depending on your time zone. So now here it's 8:44, so it would be around 19:00 here. So 1 hour 44 minutes ago it starts. Hopefully we'll get really the basic stuff like collision, running, jumping done in like 2 hours, and move on from there and start adding some interesting features. But yeah, and follow this channel so you get reminded when it goes live, and I will keep the schedule. That's very important. And if you have any kind of feedback, you can always go to or, you know, send us a tweet. We'll definitely, you know, we're not experts at doing live streams. We're not experts in you know, even doing this thing concept. Like, we would like to evolve this also based on the feedback and whatever you guys want to see and hear. So there's no point in me just sitting here and talking for nobody. It's about collaborating and sharing. Oops, what did I do here? And yeah, maybe I can still take some last things if there's anything. I know I haven't given any in-depth answers, but maybe also what you now ask might influence what, you know, I'll go through later on. Like, if there's really, do you think, should I focus more on kind of the coding part? Is that what people are interested in? Is it more the art part? Then I can have John even jump in. You know, if there's something else you're interested in, if you just want to know about the game industry, that's on Tuesdays, the same time on Tuesdays, 19:00. And we'll talk a bit about that. And we have a YouTube channel. It's the same. It's called Game Dev Channel, actually. It's a bit hard to find yet, but there's some videos already up there also where we're discussing VR and HTC Vive and Oculus Rift and stuff like that. Cool. So follow, go subscribe, go follow us on Twitter or on Facebook. We have our page. And hopefully I'll see you in a week. So I'm gonna go make some food.